Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to add content to the left and the right divs that we've created, the left and the main div, and I'm going to show you how you can position them as well. So starting with the left div here, we know that under our files area we've got some text that needs to go in. So there's my left bar text. If I just double click that, that opens it up as a text file. Now if you do Control A and then Control C, Control A selects all, Control C copies, go back to our page. If you come in here and double click and then paste in, it doesn't come out in the format that we wanted it to. We wanted it to come out looking like this, but it doesn't. It comes out like this. So I'm just going to undo by doing Control Z, and that's because we need to switch out of live view and go to design view when we're inserting text. So now that I'm in design view, I've got that div highlighted with the placeholder text highlighted, and I'm just going to do a Command or Control V, and this time our text does go in as we expected it to. I wanted all of these ones here to be bullet points, so I'm just going to highlight those and just tell them that I want them to be a bulleted list, so it puts them into a bulleted list like this. And I also want this heading here to not be formatted as a paragraph. I want it to actually be formatted as a heading free style, so I'm just going to change that to a heading free style as well. Just makes it a little bit bolder and a little bit bigger, but we'll come to style that in a moment as well using CSS. Now this left div is only supposed to take up about a third of the page width, and then the main content is to come round and sit alongside it. So we need to tell this div that it's not to stretch the full width of the wrapper, which is 960 pixels. We need to tell it to take up about a third of the width. So to do that, you need to go to the CSS Designer panel window, and what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to quickly switch back to live view so that we can see how things are working out. And in the CSS Designer panel window, I need to find my left div, so the ID that I gave that div, which is #left, and set its layout, its width, into pixels, and I think we will go for about 250 pixels. And what that does is it restricts the width of that div that we've got, so it can no longer stretch all the way across. It's restricted to 250 pixels. Now the other thing is that we want the main div to come and sit up around it. But first of all, let's get the text inside the main div. So I'm going to switch back into design view. Okay, so there's our left div, restricted to 250 pixels in width. Let's go to the main div and let's get the text file that needs to go in there. So there's main content.txt. You could use a Microsoft Word document if you had your text saved in there. Again, Control A, Control C. So select all and copy. Highlight the text main and Control V to paste it in. So this is our main div text, but the key thing is we want that not to sit underneath the left, we want it to come and sit up alongside the left div. So we have to tell this left div that it's to float left. If it floats on the left, it means that this space here can then be occupied by this div, which will come and sit up alongside it. So what we'll do is we'll go back into our live view just so that we can see how it's going to look, and then we'll come back to CSS Designer and we'll tell the left div that not only is it supposed to be 250 pixels wide, but it is also going to float left. So when I click float left, then my main div can come and sit up alongside of it. Now they're very close to each other, so what I need to do is on my main div is I need to set a bit of a margin from the left. So I'm about to do that now, so I'm going to go and find my main div, come into its layout properties, and on the margin left I need to set a pixel value. Now because the left div is 250 pixels wide, I want to set this to 260 pixels. And what that does is it pushes this div 250 pixels away, which is the width of the left div, plus an extra 10 pixels, giving me a little bit of a gap between the two sides that we've got here. So that's what I'm setting there for that. If you don't set this to 260, what actually happens is that the main div thinks it's coming from the very edge of the page. Even though it's floating to the left, it still thinks, oh, I'm occupying the whole of this space. By setting a margin left which is equal to the left div plus a little bit more for the gap that you want, you are pushing all of that div across so it's not over the top of the left div. Now the footer div is coming up and sitting inside alongside here where I want it to be below, and that's because this left hand side div is told to float. The main div has come up and occupied the space next to it, and if there's more space, any other divs that sit underneath the main div will also come up and try and sit alongside the left div. I just need to go to footer and tell it that it is going to have to clear the left float. So it's coming up and trying to sit alongside the left div because the left div is told to float left. We need to clear the footer, so we need to tell it to clear left. When we do that, the footer div will come and sit where it should be, which is underneath both of these. I'm just going to come back to my main div because I never entered in that margin left value that I set. Again, you must press the return key. So I'm just going to actually make it a little bit wide. I'm going to go for 270 pixels to give a bit more of a bigger space between these two divs. So there we go. I've got some headings in here, so I'm just going to highlight this text that I've got here for a heading, and I'm just going to make that into a heading 3 as well to be consistent. Same with this one here, I want that to be a heading 3, again just to make that stand out, and that's the headings that I've got set there. Okay, the other thing that I need to do then is add in my images. Now I'm not going to put the images inside of divs like we did with the title div inside the banner. What I am going to do is I'm going to switch back out into design view because that allows me to drag and drop images in. Whilst you're in live view you can't drag and drop images into a div, but you can in design view. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just have a look at the structure of my page. That's looking pretty good. I'm just going to go back to my files menu and I'm going to go to images, and I'm just going to drag and drop these images in. So I'm going to start off with, let's just widen the gap there so that we can see what they're called. So I'm going to start off with a small goal, and I'm just going to place that at the start of that sentence. So it's going to jump in there. I think we might have one then which will come and place in small snow scene. Let's put that into here. Let's just try and drag and drop that again. I'm just going to place it at the start of this. I need to maybe click on the div first. There we go, place it on the end there of that one, and then I think we'll have the final one which is small seal to go in at the start of this one. Again, need to click on the div to activate it and then place my images in. So I'm just plopping the images in either at the end of sentences or at the start of paragraphs just to get them randomized and placed in. In the next video we'll look at how we can style this. So how can we get this text to look good, how can we get the text to wrap around the images, how can we change the images, all that kind of thing. So that's what we'll do in the next video. For the moment I just want to change the text that's here in the footer. So I want that to be, let's just undo that, I want that to say designed, well, let's get rid of the C at the start, designed by, I should put all capitals in but I'm not getting this quite right, Chris Fitzjohn, and then we'll put in there 2015, and then maybe we want the copyright symbol to go in there. So to insert the copyright symbol I'm going to go to insert, and then I want this to be a character down here, and then I'm looking for the copyright logo, and it will go in wherever your cursor is currently placed. And the other thing about that footer div as well is that I need to come back to CSS Designer, because what I need to do is find the footer div and tell it that I want the text on this to be left aligned, so I want the text to appear over on this side here. And again we'll look at how to style all of this text and its positioning along with the images in the next video. But basically switching from live view to design view allows you to add text in, allows you to drag and drop images in. You can highlight different elements of your text and change them to be different kinds of styles in terms of heading styles like we've done with these ones here. To get your divs to float you need to set the div to float left and give it a width, and then other divs will come up and wrap around them. But remember to set the margin from the left to be equal to the size of the left div plus whatever gap you want between the two, and you'll need to tell your footer to clear any left floats.